My beautiful friends, welcome back to another moment together. I'm so grateful you're here today because I believe God has something special for you in this very moment. Whether you're listening while driving to work, taking a walk, or sitting quietly at home, know that this isn't coincidence. God orchestrated this moment for you to hear exactly what your heart needs about turning your battles into blessings. Take a deep breath with me. Let's settle into His presence together. I want to start today with something that happened to Jacob in Genesis 32 that will revolutionize how you see your struggles. Jacob was heading home after 20 years away, and he was terrified because his brother Esau was coming to meet him with 400 men. That night, alone by the river, Jacob wrestled with a man until daybreak. This wasn't just any man. This was God Himself in human form. And here's what's amazing. Jacob refused to let go until he received a blessing. He said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And God did bless him. He changed Jacob's name to Israel, which means one who wrestles with God and prevails. My friends, that wrestling match that felt like Jacob's biggest battle became his greatest blessing. The very struggle that could have destroyed him became the foundation for his new identity and his destiny. Can I tell you something that might surprise you? Right now, as you're listening, you might be in the middle of your own wrestling match. Maybe you're wrestling with a health diagnosis that came out of nowhere. Maybe you're wrestling with a relationship that's falling apart despite your best efforts. Maybe you're wrestling with financial pressure that keeps you awake at night. Maybe you're wrestling with a dream deferred that you thought would have happened by now. Maybe you're wrestling with loneliness so deep it feels like it might swallow you whole. Maybe you're wrestling with a family situation that seems impossible to fix. Maybe you're wrestling with your own mistakes and the consequences that keep haunting you. I see you, my friend. I see you fighting battles that no one else can see. I see you carrying burdens that you've never spoken out loud to anyone. I see you wondering if God has forgotten about you in the middle of your struggle. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. Your battle is not a sign of God's absence. Your battle is actually the birthplace of your blessing. Let me tell you why I believe this so deeply. For years, I watched my own mother battle a chronic illness that doctors couldn't fully explain or cure. There were days when the pain was so intense she could barely get out of bed. There were nights when she cried out to God, asking why this was happening to her. But you know what I witnessed during those difficult years? I watched my mother develop an intimacy with God that was unlike anything I had ever seen. I watched her discover strength she didn't know she possessed. I watched her learn to lean on God's grace in ways that transformed not just her life, but our entire family. That illness, which seemed like such a terrible battle, became the pathway to the deepest blessings of her spiritual life. She often tells people now that she wouldn't trade those difficult years because they taught her who God really is and who she really is in Him. That battle became her blessing. And I believe the same thing is happening in your life right now. God is not wasting your struggle. God is not ignoring your pain. God is not absent from your battle. God is actively working to transform your battle into a blessing. But here's what I've learned. The transformation doesn't happen automatically. It happens when we choose to wrestle with God instead of running from God. It happens when we refuse to let go until we receive the blessing hidden in our battle. It happens when we stop asking God to remove our struggle and start asking God to reveal His purpose in our struggle. Let me share with you 3 ways that God turns battles into blessings. First, Battles reveal God's faithfulness in ways prosperity never could. When everything is going well, it's easy to think we're managing fine on our own. But when we're in a battle, we discover that God is our source, our strength, our shelter, and our salvation. I think about the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace. Their battle with King Nebuchadnezzar seemed like it would destroy them. But in the midst of that burning furnace, they discovered that God was with them in a way they had never experienced before. The battle didn't separate them from God. The battle revealed God's presence in extraordinary ways. When they came out of that furnace, they didn't even smell like smoke. Their battle became a testimony of God's faithfulness that has encouraged millions of people for thousands of years. Second, battles develop character and strength that can only be forged under pressure. You cannot build spiritual muscle in a spiritual gym. You build spiritual muscle by carrying spiritual weight through spiritual challenges. Think about David facing Goliath. That giant seemed like an impossible battle. But David had been prepared for that moment by previous battles with lions and bears that no one else even knew about. Each battle had developed his courage, his confidence in God, and his skill. By the time he faced Goliath, David wasn't just a shepherd boy anymore. He was a warrior who had been trained by trials and strengthened by struggles. The battle with Goliath became his blessing because it revealed who he had become through his previous battles. Third, battles position us to help others who are fighting similar battles. Your pain is not just for your gain. Your battle is not just for your blessing. God is preparing you to be a blessing to someone else who will need exactly what you've learned in your struggle. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 1:3-4, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." Your battle is creating a ministry of comfort that will touch lives you haven't even met yet. Your blessing is not just for you. Your blessing is for the person who will need to hear your testimony of God's faithfulness. So, my friend, I want to invite you to a transformation of perspective today. Instead of asking God to remove your battle, ask Him to reveal the blessing hidden in your battle. Instead of running from your struggle, wrestle with God until you receive the blessing He has for you. Instead of seeing your pain as punishment, see it as preparation for a purpose greater than you can imagine. This requires a fundamental shift in how you think about your circumstances. It requires trusting that God's love is at work even when you can't see it or feel it. It requires believing that God is turning your battle into a blessing even when the battle is still raging. Are you willing to make that shift? Are you willing to trust God with your battle? Are you willing to believe that your greatest struggle might become your greatest strength? Speak this out loud wherever you are. God is turning my battle into a blessing. My struggle is not the end of my story. My pain has a purpose. My trial has a testimony. I will not let go until I receive the blessing hidden in my battle. Let that truth settle in your spirit today. Let it change how you see what you're walking through. Let it give you strength to keep wrestling until you receive your blessing. My beautiful friends, if this message has spoken to your heart, I want you to type "My battle is becoming my blessing" in the comments below. Declare it over your life. Declare it over your situation. Declare it over your future. And when you do, you're not just encouraging yourself. You're encouraging every person who reads your comment and realizes they're not alone in their battle. You're creating a community of warriors who refuse to give up until they receive their blessing. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. someone who is in the middle of their own wrestling match, someone who needs to know that their battle is not the end but the beginning of their blessing. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week we're going to be here together discovering more of God's truth for our lives. As we close today, I want to speak a blessing over you. May you find strength in your struggle. May you discover God's presence in your pain. May you experience His faithfulness in your fight. May your battle become your blessing. May your trial become your testimony. May your struggle become your strength. And may you never forget that you are loved beyond measure by a God who is working all things together for your good. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the confidence that your battle is becoming your blessing. I love you. I believe in you. And I can't wait to see what God does in your life. Until next time, keep wrestling. Keep believing and keep trusting that God is turning your battle into a blessing. God bless you.